Welcome back. So we learned that as a data engineer, you collect data, you ingest data, and then you store it in a data lake, often a Hadoop cluster. Now, this idea of a data lake can also be used with something like AWS's S3 object storage. So those are the two most popular ones. And then once they're in your data lake, you can usually run batch jobs on this data to clean it up or modify it or wrangle it in some way. So Hadoop allowed us to do that with MapReduce. We can use Apache Spark. You can just manually write scripts on Amazon S3, or you can just even do batch jobs with common databases, like SQL databases. But this idea of stream processing is now becoming more and more popular. Instead of processing data using just batch jobs, let's say every hour or every day, there's now a movement towards this idea of real-time, stream processing. That means when data is received, processing it right away instead of waiting a bit until we can do batches at a time. This allows us to have faster reactions to data. Now, this idea of stream processing is pretty complicated, but one of the main tools that's being used right now for stream processing is something called Kafka. Kafka, if we look on their website, is a distributed streaming platform. It allows us to read and write streams of data like messaging system. It allows us to process, and it allows us to store data as well. But as you can see, what Kafka does, it allows us to receive messages and pass it on to different places. So what you'll often see is we use Apache Kafka to receive all these messages, logs, and data from all these sources. We collect them in a central location, and then Kafka can pass it on to different locations. For example, we can pass off whatever Kafka receives to a Hadoop cluster to store that data, and then perhaps, if we want, use Apache Spark to process that data into a data warehouse. But now with the idea of real-time processing, Kafka allows us to now pass things on to, itself, or we can use something like Spark Streaming, or Flink, which we've talked about, Apache Flink, that is used more for stream processing, or Apache Storm, or even Kinesis by Amazon, which actually can also be placed like Kafka here to handle all these messages from all these locations. Now, at the end of the day, all of this might have been confusing. You may be overwhelmed by all of these tools that are available. But remember what I said at the beginning of this section. A data engineer is somebody that you'll interact with as a data scientist. So it's good to know what they do, what their roles are, what their responsibilities are, and you'll work closely with them for you to have the data available to perform analysis on it or build machine learning models. But I hope that this diagram now makes sense. A data engineer creates this landscape for you, where they ingest data through Kafka, store information using something like Hadoop or Amazon S3. They process that data using something like Apache Spark or Kinesis. And then they even store data in data warehouses, so tools like Redshift or BigQuery can be used by people inside the business to learn something useful from the data. They build the structure for you to flourish. So be nice to them. And if you're ever interested in any of these technologies, they are changing very fast, but they're definitely worth a look, and they're not as intimidating to learn as you might think. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.